And I think today I'd like to talk about Dukkha, particularly how it's talked about in the Mahadukkhakkhanda Sutta. I believe it's Majjhima Nikaya 14. In this sutta, the Buddha really highlights the drawbacks of life. He talks about the difficulties of simply making a living, the stress of, 2,000 years ago, it was having to wake up early and take care of your cattle, your land, your fields, cultivating the land, and day in and day out. Talks about the sweat and the toll it takes on the body. He also talks about how, somebody might also want to come and take your land, and how you'll have to engage in conflict and warfare in order to protect your items. And this connects quite nicely with the simile of the piece of flesh. How one bird will come in, swoop by and pick up a piece of meat, and he'll fly off with it thinking, yes, I've got my meal for the day. But what comes next is some other birds start to harass this very same bird. And you can see how we'll find something valuable in the world. A fancy car, a beautiful wife, a beautiful husband. And there will be people who will lust after and be envious and jealous over our items. And so it seems very natural that we'll want to protect what we've gained. And this too is also a drawback. It fundamentally reinforces this notion of me, of mine, these are my things, I must protect this. And how much difficulty that creates for ourselves. Later on in the sutta he talks about the drawbacks of physical appearance. In this particular case he's talking to monks, so he says, monks, think of the most beautiful girl in all of India. And isn't this the gratification in physical form, at the height of her beauty? But now imagine that same woman, 20, 30 years have passed, and the skin begins to wrinkle. She's no longer at her peak. And the same could go for a man, a young boy, 18, 20, muscular, fit, ready to take on the world. But after some time, the wrinkles grow on the face. The hair begins to gray. Sometime after that, then the back becomes crooked. You want to put your right foot there, it goes here. So you kind of lose the coordination in your body. In later stages of life, you're no longer even able to hold in your faculties. When you laugh, you pee on yourself. Physical form will have its drawbacks. So this is quite a nice sutta to give an idea of what dukkha means in the world from a Buddhist perspective. And of course the Buddha, towards the end of it, he talks about the more subtle and fine forms of gratification in respect to the jhanas, how you can cultivate on your own, with the power of your own mind and intention and with letting go, that you can cultivate a kind of pleasure that is beyond sensuality. And this is inconceivable for most people in the world, that there is happiness that can be had that is free from external input. And wouldn't that be nice if we could sell that on the corner at the hawker stores? Yeah. It's really something that needs to be cultivated through moral and virtuous behavior, by abstaining from lying and killing and stealing. It's also cultivated through concentration, so giving yourself a daily practice of meditation. And over time, it can be cultivated, just delighting in your own virtuous behavior and delighting being free from the hindrances. And so this is not something that is just reserved for monks. It's not some closed esoteric thing, but it's accessible to anybody who's willing to take the effort. So this is the highest form of gratification that we can have. And it's interesting, in the sutta following the Mahadukkhakkhanda Sutta, or before or after, the Buddha says, it wasn't until I had seen a pleasure that was beyond sensuality that I was able to let go of sensuality. In other words, the mind will always kind of needs and feeds off of some kind of pleasant feeling. And until it's seen something that goes beyond the world, it'll always revert back to video games, movies, sports, whatever it is. So an encouragement to enter upon and abide in the jhanas at will. So easy, Lao.